Welcome back to the summer series here at the Tuck Shop Podcast. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well, Matthew. How are you doing?
Oh, we're all right. Trying to lay the last bits of my classes together.
There you go.
Got to be prepared for the fall.
Yeah, or not.
Yeah. I spent enough time when I was sick kind of
Not prepared.
winging it because I just didn't feel well. So being back and...
Don't you like the excitement of not being prepared, though?
It's yes, I do. Mean, But to me, actually, that's actually an interesting kind of way to go about it. Is because I have this argument with my sister occasionally, who's been classically trained as a teacher, as an education major.
She's a professional.
The level of prep difference, and I don't know if it's just through sheer. And it's not just her, but there's other people who are I have to plan everything. And even outside of education, you and I both spent. You're currently, and I was in local government.
Yeah, right.
There are people that will sit and they have everything completely prepped and if it's not in the notes, they can't talk about it.
Yeah,
but there's others that can be like, I can give you 5 minutes on any topic.
Life, my friend, is an outline. Life in itself is an outline.
Bullet points.
Yeah, it's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I'm thinking 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was thinking of maybe having barbecue for dinner. I don't know where I'm going to be in five years. But, the interesting thing, like, you hold in the power. What did Kennedy once say? We hold in our hands the power to, I'm going to paraphrase, eliminate all society or save all society. And as a teacher, instructor, professor, I believe probably when I was here, I believed it 90% of what the guy or woman in the front of the class told me. You were like, hey, that's your job. I'm just here to learn. But yeah, teaching is important.
It is. I just think it's interesting that I like watching the styles, and I will have I have known faculty who will, and it's not a here thing. It's just in general that have their entire lecture written out.
Yeah.
For an hour and 20 minutes, it is an hour and 20 minutes of pre-written. This is exactly what we're doing.
That's what works.
Where I tend to be more fluid to figure out what needs more attention, what needs less attention.
Right.
And it's very different styles. But that kind of carries through how people do. Like I said, I've seen it in local government. There are people that, have their notes. And if you ask them something that isn't in those notes, you might as well have just, electrocuted them with a cattle prod because it just throws them for a loop.
I've seen it on local highways.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, once there's a detour, they're just shut down.
Or once there's this thing called an exit, and did you not plan that you were going to take that exit, or you just decide to the last minute, or you don't have an outline, no idea where you were headed, just decided who needs an outline? But the thing that's interesting when we talk about faculty, I know our guest wasn't faculty, but I guess he could have been. That it's interesting when we get alumni back, and when an alum will say, "Is so and so still here?" and in their mind, they are so prepared for nope, retired 10 years ago, and when they hear, "Oh yeah, still here," it's an eruption. Yeah. What? Oh, it just goes on and on and on. It's just like it just goes, and it's funny because there are some of us that still remember people that have been here since the 80s, still here going strong, whether it's administration, Dr. Ray Rabley, Jim Alexander, or how many more are still here that, that you had for a class and are still here? We're in administration.
Even in this department that we're sitting in right now, I tend to think of, because I've been here not necessarily teaching but when you take my student time.
Yeah, right.
Not even the time I spent prior to a student on campus.
Sure.
But as my student time, I've been in this department the longest. And I think of Ola Johansson.
Do you get the best seats or something? Or
no. You see my office.
Yeah,
although I picked this office, so I can't really complain. Yeah. I think of Dr. Johansson of Ola as he's the new kid on the block.
Yeah, but how long has he been here?
Ola came here in 2004.
Yeah, but
it's 20 years.
But when I see that, and I'm not picking on Ola, but when I look at Ola always has this sense that he's just landed on the planet.
He's young. And,
he's kind of young. And he's kind of like,
no. But
then I look and I see something. I'm looking through something on the internet, and here's Dr. Johansson, you're right.
Yeah.
20 years ago, he was new.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he was doing things, and he's been all over the world and all over the planet. But that's even weird when you're like, there's so many people on campus. You think, not because they're inept or anything. I'm not saying that. It's just you think that they're not that old.
It's honestly, it's a credit to me. It's a sign, and it's a credit to the community that's on campus.
Sure,
people
absolutely.
want to stay here.
Absolutely,
and want to.
Where they got nowhere else to go. Hence me. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Well, I think a lot of the people we're talking about are very capable of doing that. There's other people who are like, honestly, I want to be here for personal reasons.
Yeah.
But I think it's a sign that there's a lot of people who've come here and stayed here and set up.
That's a testament. To that person and to the community. You're right. It's a two-way street. It's, that person's, ability to keep it new, whether it's outlined or whether it's not, and to the community that is welcoming enough. I mean, Dr. Spector alone, 13, 14 years, somewhere along there. That's a stretch.
No, it's more than that now.
But I'm just saying in this day and age.
Yeah, it builds that community and a consistency that people know. But it is hard for people, at least for me, to calibrate that kind of thing. Like I said, all is brand new. He's not. But to me, I remember when he came.
It's 20 years.
When but it's because that's how time works. This is the time. It's been. We're in August now, but we're not that far away from graduation season and going to party, grad party here and there. And it's like, oh, that's a kid that graduated a year or two after me, and their kid is now graduating. Where did that time go? Or
you're in a, excuse me, we talked about discovery days or what they called
academic planning days,
or orientation or open houses. And, excuse me, somebody will come up to the alumni table and say, "Are you an alum?"
Yeah.
And they're there for orientation. Yeah, I'm an alum. And I'm like, "When did you graduate?" They're like, "Oh, I graduated back in, 99, 2000, whatever. And I'm here because my son or daughter is, a freshman." And it's kind of cool. They'll call them over. They're like, "Hey, come on over." And the kid kind of has that look like, but there's that.
Don't embarrass me.
Yeah, but there's that legacy where you're starting to see, again, and I always say, I graduated back in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
This campus was only, not even 10 years old.
Well, no, it was more than that.
73, 83. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a little bit over 10 years old.
But it wasn't 20. It wasn't 20.
But it wasn't 20. It was still that point of like, you're a tadpole. Do you know what I mean?
I saw the statistic to your point is it's been a month or so now since the 4th. But by the time the 4th of July episode hit, we were closer to 2050 than the year 2000.
Sure. Yeah. But it builds that community.
Yeah.
When you're starting to see alum that have kids that are coming here, that are, coming to look at the campus. So you're right, that sense of community is stronger than ever. And I think a lot of it has to be said for the longevity. It's just naturally going to happen where you get this sense of, which is interesting because, getting back to go back to Ola's point, you think 20 years ago, this guy started teaching there. When someone comes and says, "Is Dr. Johansson still here?" Because that was 20 years ago when I had him, and you say yes. Yeah. Like, he's still here. He's not one of these 40, 50 years yet, but
and that's the thing, and that's the weird experience that I live is, I now technically work for Ray Rabley.
Yeah.
As VPAA, my command tree goes through my division, my department to my division head to Ray. But I remember sitting in his class and arguing politics with Ray.
Likewise.
25,
I think he got here like the year that I graduated, or year before, and every once in a while you still find this old picture. And I say old because he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed all that much. Yeah. But he still has that. That's Ray Rabley. Yeah. Okay, that's Ray Rabley. But
it's a really exciting thing. And one thing that I think when you talk about tying to that history is today's interview, and this is prior to his experience, but today's interview is with our co-president, John Wozniak.
Right.
John was pretty early in the cycle of our interviews, so to hear his story and him talking about his time on campus and his time in the PA Senate and being Delta Chi brother to this day is really cool. But one thing that we sadly don't get to hear in this, because it didn't happen yet when we talked to John, is last spring he came back and took advantage of the program to take a course, take my course, by the way, and come back and have that experience at that point in his life to take another college course.
Yeah.
And that's something that if you are a senior
good point.
Alum is available to you too. You can come back. Yeah. Another member of our board, Jim Setstrus,
and
he keeps coming back and taking geology courses.
But they're taking them for non-credit.
Non-credit. Yeah, you're not.
Well,
you could
come
back and get another degree if you wanted to, but you could just take them for non-credit. You basically audit the course. You do the amount of work that you are comfortable with.
Right.
I mean, maybe you just go to the class.
Maybe you don't. But
to John's credit, he did. Yeah. He did every assignment. He did every bit of homework, and he honestly, goodness, earned his grade like any other student would have.
And it's interesting because you talk about Jim Sestrick, another alumni board member, another alum around that same year, and Jim has taken quite a few courses. Mm-hmm. And I always, it's entertaining to be around Jim because when he's in that depth of classes, he's like the scarecrow on Wizard of Oz. Like he'll just start, the capital of Kansas and Guatemala is like exactly like, and thank you, Jim. And you realize, well, Jim must be taking a class about natural parks or something along those lines. Yeah, whatever it is.
Jim has taken a couple of the geology courses with Dr. Kerrigan. And
I think he used it. I think he actually, at one point, I could be wrong, but I remember him telling me that he was interested in. So if he planned a trip, he knew a little bit more about like where he was going and
it has nothing to do with what he did, his previous degree or what he did as a career.
Right.
It was just he found it interesting.
And he finds it very interesting. Yeah.
John taking my business applications course. This was technology tools that he needs to use, but never was trained because he graduated in
when he was here
78.
We talked about some episodes ago about the boxed Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, the only boxed Mac John was looking at was probably Macs and cheese.
And that was he graduated 5 years before that machine was released.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut over here and listen to Senator Wozniak sit down with us.
The Honorable
John
Wozniak.
I want my name tag changed too.
We'll work on that.
A long-term senator from our area, represented both Cambria County and just as importantly, Pitt Johnstown in the Pennsylvania State Senate. John Wozniak, welcome.
Thanks, Matt. I'm class of 1978, so I'm the old-timer here. So I do have one question about the podcast. I know this gets shot out to the universe. Do we know who listens to it, or do we ask to say, hit a button so that we know that somebody communicated with us?
We can see how many people are engaged or downloading. Where there actually are, we'd love to hear that. That's a great question. If you're out there listening, shoot us an email through the Institutional Advancement Office or make a comment on LinkedIn or our Facebook page. That's a really good point because we have alumni as far away as I can name alumni that are currently in Japan.
I know people in South America, so here you go.
Wimber.
Nanny-glow.
What did you study, John, when you were here?
Economics and business.
What led you to economics? You would think with your distinguished political career, it would be
Well, I probably had a minor in politics, but I don't think there's a real career path if you take a major in political science. Right place, right time, and I thought economics and business community, that's probably more apropos because I wasn't smart enough to be an engineer. So we had to take something where we're pre-med or anything like that. So, but it all, it all works itself out.
Did that lesson, how did that work with what ended up being your profession?
I'll tell you what, to be honest with it, I had a career that used probably every class that I've had on this campus because it's a liberal university, and what I was doing in the world of politics was I was conversing with a whole legion of different people on different subjects, and being able to, as I always said, it unlocked the doors. You could step through it, and then there's more doors out there, but it opened up the opportunity for me to see the bigger picture of things, and it was very useful. As a matter of fact, a lot of my colleagues said, "Where did you get this knowledge of all this kind of stuff?" And I'm pretty good at trivia, too. So the transcripts don't show it, but did learn quite a bit here at the university.
When you take us back in time, and we asked this question a lot when we talk to people. When you're looking at schools, what made you say, this campus, Pitt Johnstown, was the one for you?
My dad wanted me to go to an academy. Because of my eyesight, I had to compete with X amount of people for a limited amount of slots. I wasn't all that gung-ho about it, so the closure was coming in, went to UPJ, and if you were good enough to be nominated to be a candidate for a military school, UPJ accepted me right away. Now, I never lived on campus. I commuted the whole time and worked the whole time, so some of that campus life gets a little to the side because even though I did have a social life up here, I spent a lot of time working in the evenings.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that you and I have it's been 4 or 5 years now that we've worked in this capacity on campus together in some form, worked a long time together, you in your role in the Senate, me as head of a local municipality, helping us out, and you always were fantastic with us in the borough. But social life, one thing that I never had the experience that you did, you had a connection through the Greek organ, and David talked about the Greek reunion coming up. You had a connection there that I didn't, and David, I don't think you had.
I did not have a connection to the Greeks per se as a pledge or as a member, but I think it's interesting. I think, Matt, you bring up a good point. You know, John was a commuter, but again, very active in Greek life. Here I lived on campus and was not as active in Greek life, so it's an interesting...
It is. And the brotherhood lasts forever. I guess we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brothers now. And Dave, you were talking about having the reunions of the different fields up here. The Delta Chi just had a 50th anniversary, and it brought a lot of people back from the 70s who haven't seen each other in decades. They came on campus, they took a tour, they had breakfast here. They had a wonderful time kibitzing with each other and hopefully reconnecting for UPJ.
And you were Delta Chi.
Oh, yeah.
We know.
I am Delta Chi.
You are.
It's like I am an Eagle
I'm
Scout.
trying real hard to learn this stuff.
But and I have to tell you, we just had homecoming. Friday night was nice. They had the trucks out here, the food trucks, and a lot of the students were out there. But Saturday, the only thing that was going on campus, and this is something we're going to have to address, was the Delta Chi pig roast. They were the only people outside of any buildings. When I was in school and it was a nice fall day, the windows were open, music was coming out, people were throwing frisbees. There was a lot of activity going on. We also had a parade and was a reason to bring people on campus. So there's some things that we need to push as an alumni organization to help bring people back and make it a festival, make it a thing that you want to spend 2 days to come back to UPJ.
Yeah, and I think along that point, you should be, if you are in contact with us, if you've kept up your information, you're going to actually start seeing some information, some survey information to find out what we can do to better engage our alumni to build that homecoming legacy, to continue that homecoming legacy. You mentioned the Delta Chi pig roast. That's been going on for
as long as I've been in school.
They did it when you were here in school.
Yes, it's sort of a legacy out there. We used to roast our own pig over wood, but now I think Pappy's Pizza is the guy that comes in with their machine, and they do it that way. But it was also, and I'll say this tongue-in-cheek, in the 70s, UPJ was Paris after liberation. The rules of alcohol were very slim, and it was interesting because it kept students on campus and kept them from going off campus. And now they tell me that just to have a little get-together, they have to go through a bureaucracy, and a lot of people don't want to do it. It was interesting that, Matt, you brought up about having a soccer game on Saturday. And I think with a little bit of prompting, we can get the social organizations to put a team together and have a playoff or something on a homecoming Saturday. I think it's very conducive to do that.
It's some neat stuff that we're talking about, and there's a whole group from the alumni board looking to work with and engage the great folks at Student Life and in David's office and all over the place to make those things kind of grow. Your time here. Think back to you as a student. Any person, any of memory, anything stand out, a faculty member, somebody who was like, wow, that's still, because you and I actually just had a very lengthy conversation several weeks ago with Dr. Alexander.
Dr. Alexander, my political science professor, had a lengthy conversation with him. Dave Willey, physics professor, great guy, still kicking. I played golf with him the other day. We had Al Frankfurt, was my economics professor, and we had Stanley Long.
Okay.
And if anybody ever had Dr. Long, I had no idea what the guy was talking about, the curve that he used to grade us, but he was Stanley Long. And then we had Mike Yates. He was our socialist economic professor that always gave a sort of a different viewpoint as to economics. But I'll tell you what, it was very interesting. And then Miss Jones just recently died, and I had her for biology.
Yeah.
And I remember endoplasmic reticulum. So why do you remember something like that? But
Just something that stuck in your
connects
brain.
the Golgi bodies together, if there's anybody out there. So,
I guess the follow-up question I'd have with that, about your golf game with Dr. William, did you hit him with a chip shot?
no, I leave that to
You just only to me?
Yeah, just to you.
I
I got a little better since then.
Have you gotten better?
Yeah.
Dave, I don't know if you've ever heard the story, but we went golfing one time, and John accidentally hit me with a practice chip shot. It wasn't even during the round. It was just a practice shot, I think, too, right?
So he hit you with a practice shot.
Yeah.
What if he'd have done if he wasn't practicing?
Same thing. It doesn't go too far.
Well, that's why I don't know math anymore. It's short-term memory loss that only affected math.
Well, you could take that stuff that Dave said he's taken there. And I don't know.
Oh, that memory?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the conch on the head?
Oh, the conch on that. Yeah, that's... What would you tell students today as a takeaway from your time that they should be paying more attention to? A lesson or something that you don't think that they would think about to retain?
They need to study more. It's much more competitive than when I was in school back in the 70s. Coming out with a college degree pretty much guaranteed you, long as you knew some people and other things like that, but a chance of getting out and finding something perhaps in your field. Today it's much more competitive. And don't deny yourself the distribution of education, to go to the things that you've never experienced before, the arts, the sciences. Take an engineering course, take a physics course, even though that might not be your forte, because all those things will come into play for a greater whole, and you'll never know what fits in with the education and the workforce that you're going to be involved in.
And I think you're a great example. You were talking about how, and I just have a very narrow glimpse of my time in local government. You, I'm sure, had meetings where in the morning you're talking about a tax situation, and at lunchtime you're meeting with somebody about a new building here for funding. In the evening you're at a dinner about the impact of a bill that's being considered for environmental, that all these different things probably played a role in.
Sure, and that diversity really made it helpful in trying to understand that part, and probably made me a better elected official for that.
What was it like being an alumni and working and representing UPJ in Pitt Johnstown?
Oh, it was fine.
Was it fun?
It was fun. And Dr. Blackington was my president in my tenure here at the university, so I knew him at two levels. One was as a president of the university, and then after I was elected, as a personal friend. What a wonderful guy, and he carried the university to the next level. And to see what happened here, and let me go back to the reunion of the Delakai brothers. The growth of the university is spectacular, and the one nice thing they did, and some of these buildings I was involved in, I sort of insisted that you keep the same stonework for the architectural stuff, because when you come on this campus, and once again, UPJ is competing out there for students. You're bringing those parents on campus, you're bringing those students on campus, and they see how beautiful this is. That has to make a mark on them, and I think that's important.
It's it sounds so simple, the stonework, but people recognize that. I've had people who, I visited campus. My son or daughter's looking. It's gorgeous, and that's the first thing they mention, how the buildings look like. So that is an interesting, and I love that the fact that, geez, it's going to make you sound old, that you were here as a student with President Blackington, and we're sitting in the building named for him.
After him, yes.
Very intrigued. Well, I don't want to say it. I like you.
Not there, I'm still good.
You've talked a good bit about all these different components and pieces and your background here. Can you pick one favorite memory? And it's not working with me, because that's clearly going to be number one. But, David, we don't need your commentary.
I'm keeping it to myself.
No, what's your one? Can you think of one that stands? If you had to tell somebody one favorite story about Pitt Johnstown, and you only had one time to do it.
The intimacy of the classrooms and the professors. That is one thing that I can sit there and say that this university has. My two children, God bless them, they went to Penn State. But you go in there with 2,000 students and this and that. And here you have a personal relationship with most of the students because it's small enough, and with your professors. And I think that intimacy is pretty important and conducive to a higher education.
And that's something that you have experienced both as a student and because I know you have I've had you in my classes. And I know that Bill Corey had brought you in first many times in his class. You've actually done both the student side and the lecturing side.
Yes.
And see the benefit of that.
And I'm happy to come back anytime somebody asks me.
I have a schedule for you.
Happy to come in. You don't think about it in your life career, but I have a lot of experience inside my head that I can disseminate to students who, as bright as they think they are at 18, 19 years of age, have a whole lot of life in front of them, and some of my life experiences could be helpful for them making their decisions later on.
Fantastic. John, thank you for coming and spending a little bit of time with us today.
Matt, it's always a pleasure. And now we have to start working on next year's homecoming so we can make it bigger and better and start bringing people back. And for the people listening out there, if you do get back in contact through the website or email and stuff, I always put a little plug for upgrading the log cabin.
It's a perfect segue to talking about if you want to support those sorts of things, student activities, alumni activities like alumni weekend or a homecoming, the log cabin, your department, whether it's economics, geography, journalism, engineering, best way, consider supporting us by going to give2to give2pitt.edu/giveupj. And right from there, you can select what you'd like to support. Maybe you aren't 100% sure and you just want to support the campus in some way and leave it to us to figure it out. And I mean us, not the three of us at this table, but the university itself. Or you want to donate to your department or your division or your student group, your athletic team across the board.
Let me just, I want to add into that support. I think a lot of people get the misconception, excuse me, that, there's that misconception that I'm not the big donor. I'm not making a six-figure donation. But to that point of Matt, giving you the venue in which to do that, I guess what I'm appealing to, please consider a $20 a month or a $10 a month or a $30 a month, a recurring gift really helps us build that foundation of givers. The big givers, you'll walk around campus, you'll see some of their names adorned on many of the buildings, but we also want to see those givers that are the foundation givers. So don't feel that, what does my $10 mean if I do $10 a month? From somebody who's a journalism major, I can tell you that's $120 a year. $41 a month is $500 a year. We can do all the scenarios, how much do you spend on cable? How much do you spend on a cup of coffee? But think a lot of what John said, this was your university. This was, a big part of your life. I think the interesting thing, I just wanted to kind of recap on that, is that, there's a real identity to being Pitt Johnstown. Although we are part of the Pitt system, I think there's that real identity that I see in a lot of alumni that we are Pitt Johnstown, a part of the University of Pittsburgh, and those funds help us right here with your departments or many of the different scholarships named after some of the professors you may have known. But I want to encourage people to don't shy away because you can't make a six-figure donation. A one-time gift or a recurring gift is just as important.
Fantastic.
And a little bit from a lot of people adds up. And as Dave's working diligently to build up the communications between UPJ graduates and the university, we get a lot of letters from main campus, and a lot of students or a lot of graduates, alumni, they cut a check, but it's going to Pitt. So make sure if you're going to cut that check, it comes back to UPJ.
Yeah. Again, you can update and get more information at the johnstown.pitt.edu/alumni page, our Facebook and our LinkedIn pages. And again, that donation page is give2.pitt.edu/giveupj. Everyone out there, we hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you next time. The Tuck Shop podcast is recorded live on the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown campus. Update your contact information with us by visiting johnstown.pitt.edu/alumni. Connect with us online via Facebook and LinkedIn, or consider donating to the university at give2, that's giveto.pitt.edu/giveupj.
This has been a production of Quantum Wave Media. Views expressed do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown.